this is going to be a quick video because I just did a Elizabeth I channeling that I'm going to upload later. And I was inspired by something recently of techniques on how to get rid of narcissistic vampires. So, how do you get rid of narcissistic vampires? Well, it depends on what type of narcissist they are and how you know this person. So a good way to deflect narcissistic vampires is to feign narcissistic traits yourself. In fact, that's one of the easiest ways to get rid of them. So, for instance, if you know somebody who, typical narcissistic traits, everybody's got some narcissistic traits. It just, whether it's a full-blown disorder is very hard to determine. And as a mental health professional, I can tell you, you cannot just sit there and say narcissist if you don't really know them, you haven't sat in sessions with them, you haven't really extensively known fact for fact what their life is like, not hearsay. So let's just say narcissistic tendencies. So if somebody is, and I'm not doing this channel as a mental health professional, by the way, but I just like to say that I am because I do have a background in it because I know about mental health. However, anything I say on the channel is for entertainment. If you need to go to a healthcare professional, please do so. Do not replace this for healthcare, mental or physical health. This is just entertainment. I have to say that. So anyways, so if you are dealing with one of these little vampires, that's why I put a vampire as the thumbnail, because basically they suck the life out of people. I really do think the best way to deal with them is either ignore, if you can, no contact, gray rock, which is to respond as dryly and as boring as possible. Or if you're forced to engage with them and speak to them, like in an extended period of time, the best way to deal with them is to act like them. And I know, people are going to be like, oh, but Naomi, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to stoop to their level. Well, guess what? I learned a long time ago that this world is not full of nice people. And yes, as an empath, you're going to be nice most of the time. But just because you're nice most of the time doesn't mean you have to be nice all of the time. And a little bit of, what do you want to call it? Bitchiness or a-holeness. If you're a guy, if you want to call it that, because guys don't use the other word for themselves. If you want to call it that, go ahead. But some of that is needed in this world to defend yourself when you're dealing with people like that. So I would say that best tip, if you're forced to communicate with the narcissist, because I got some emails asking about this. People send me long, I'm not going to share anybody's business, but I generally get a pattern of long paragraph questions about somebody who sounds narcissistic in people's lives who email me for readings. And this is just inspired by that. Also my own personal experience years ago. The most effective way in dealing with a narcissist who will not go away, who gray walk is not working for, who silent treatment isn't working for either, because sometimes they might know where you live, they might know your email, even if they don't know your phone number, and they won't stop bothering you, right? You've tried everything, you blocked, blah, 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 blah. Because that's the number one suggestion is if you can, just block them. Don't give them your energy. But if you have to, act like a narcissist yourself. And what does that entail? Well, narcissists are very self-serving and only want things for themselves, right? So you just have to make it very clear that you only want things for yourself. So for instance, if the narcissist is a narcissist that is obsessed with attention or money or sex, if you don't want to come across like, because sometimes if you make everything about sex, especially if you're a woman, the person will be like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. Unless you're like a same-sex couple. So you can't flip the sex thing back at them. But what you can do is you can flip the money and attention thing back at them. So for instance, if somebody is like always obsessed with what people can give them, then you just send a little link to your your PayPal, or if you have a PayPal, or, you don't want to give out your routing number to your bank, just a Cash App. Oh, you know what? I really need $500. Can you send me, or better yet, 5,000. I really need this money for a payment. You can just make some shit up. And I'm not against lying when it's for things that are not going to hurt other people. And watch them disappear as quickly as they came in. It's like magic. Just watch. And this is not a channel that's always going to be ethical based on the standards of what everybody thinks is ethical, because some of my suggestions will be, beating somebody at their own game, playing their game. Because I learned a long time ago, and this is not to talk about anybody in specific, but through emails I get where people asking me for help and suggestions on narcissists. But I don't want to do that, Naomi. It's mean. I'm sorry. But when people are constantly disrespectful and mean and energy vampires and suck the life out of other people, sometimes you don't want to stoop all the way down to their level, because it doesn't mean if they gave the money or were willing to give the money, you'd accept it. It's just to prove a point, to get rid of them. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to give you the money. They're going to disappear. That's why you use it, is to get rid of them. So I find that a very effective method that I wanted to share. And basically every trait that they are, you have to say the opposite is what you like as your friends, as your family, as your lover, whatever trait they are, say the opposite. And then they're going to be like, well, fuck, like, I'm not even close to what this person would like. Right? So a good example. I don't want to use somebody as example as somebody who emails me. So let me just think of somebody I've known before. Okay. I had a friend years ago, and she was dating a guy who got her pregnant. It happens a lot nowadays, and it's not stigmatized that women are unmarried and pregnant, whatever, which I think is a good thing, because all of the blame was always put on women. It was always like thrown on women, like they were whores or whatever, or sluts, and the man, like, where's his responsibility? So it's a good thing that it's accepted that people have children outside of marriage. Do I think that everybody should be doing it carelessly just because it's accepted? No, but I think it's a better thing than it is not to not stigmatize women who have kids outside of marriage. However, what this has opened the floodgates of is a lot of men who make excuses and are irresponsible and expect things right away, who, if women are not careful enough with their boundaries, can fall into a prey of and a trap of. And I get a lot of emails like this. And I also get stuff from, that I can go off of from the past. So I'm using a past example from my friend who has a child. I don't have a child, so it's not about me. So she has a child. I think the child, we're in touch, but she lives overseas now. The child, I think, is around 9 right now. But when she first had her child, the father had very classic narcissistic traits. Now, she's an Aquarius moon like me, so it's like that giving type of humanitarian energy, but emotionally kind of withdrawn. That's how Aquarius moons are. Think Princess Diana, like, well, she was a Cancer, so never mind. She's not a good example. So she was really emotional because she was a Cancer. Who else is an Aquarius moon? Anthony Bourdain was an Aquarius moon. Marilyn Monroe was Aquarius moon. There's like another side to them that you don't see, and they're emotionally more withdrawn than you'd expect. So anyways, like that type, giving but not overly emotional. So the person that she was with was a quintessential narcissist. Very emotionally withdrawn, very all about, what he could get in the beginning, got her pregnant because she didn't put up enough boundaries in the beginning to when, number 1, she slept with him, and 2, using protection, and 3, making him earn it. Narcissists, just as a general rule of thumb, whether it's a man who's seeking easy sex or it's a woman who's seeking admiration and adoration to the extent that she's like a freaking diva and there's nothing else that matters but her, and materialism to the point where it's a god, I don't mean paying for bills and taking care of her kids. I think that should be a basic requirement. But like admiration, like for material sake. Whether it's a woman or it's a man, still narcissistic traits. It's just that men tend to fall in the category of using narcissism for sex, and women tend to fall into the category of using narcissism for materialism as a god. I don't mean as a provider. My family members do that, and that's what I was raised with. So that's not what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to a woman who expects providers. I'm referring to somebody who just wants things like, she wants a new present every week that has nothing to do with surviving. So they have different motivations, but it comes from the same place. So basically, this narcissist that she was with, wanted to get sex and wanted to get it as soon as he could. He also wanted to get it unprotected as soon as he could. Unfortunately, narcissism runs rampant nowadays because you see this not necessarily wanting it unprotected right away, but wanting it right away. I want it now. It's mine. I'm entitled to it now. That's very narcissistic. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody who acts like that is a full-blown narcissist, but it is a narcissistic trait, highly narcissistic trait, and I call it like I see it. So she was with an individual like this who, as they slowly broke down her barriers to, have sex sooner than she wanted, then have sex unprotected, got her pregnant, and then she found out that this narcissist was gaslighting her to call her crazy and had a girlfriend on the side and could not afford child support payments once she had the child. She would have had the child anyways because she is pro-choice, but for herself, she's pro-life, which I respect. I think that that's fine, But she was in a predicament because she allowed the person to take down her boundaries. So I'm not suggesting that people ask for a money exchange. Like, for instance, if somebody's asking them to be physical too soon and asking for money for that, I'm not suggesting that at all. I don't want this to get confused. But what I am saying is, when anybody, regardless if it's about sex or it's about gifts or it's about attention, repeatedly tries to pressure you or somebody else into something you're not totally comfortable with, or you don't feel like you've gotten enough compensation for to begin with before giving it. And I don't necessarily mean monetary compensation. You could think compensation is somebody investing their time, right? Maybe to another person, maybe it is monetary compensation. Maybe before they're physical with somebody, they want somebody who's going to show they can take care of them. I don't think there's anything freaking wrong with that. Whatever floats your boat, whatever you want to do. But they need some kind of investment, whether it's time, money, attention, whatever. The best thing that somebody can do in order to stop that behavior is, number one, keep their boundaries. And number two, to test if somebody's a narcissist when they're doing that pestering and pressuring, et cetera, for whatever it is they want. Ask them for something that's important to you that you know is not important to them, and keep doing the same thing. So every time they ask, you ask. Every time they ask, you ask. And you don't give them what it is they want until they've given you at least a sufficient amount in comparison to what they're asking of what you want. That is the best way to get rid of a narcissist. Because if they are somebody who is not a narcissist, they're willing to invest whatever it takes. If there's somebody who is a narcissist, they won't be. And I hate to say it, this is such a rampant disease in this country. I'm not going to say everybody has narcissistic personality disorder, but there are a lot of people who have narcissistic traits in this country, at least. I don't know about other countries, but I know about my country, at least in the Northeast and going out maybe to the West Coast. Yeah, I've been out there a lot too, and I have friends out there. That mentality is very rampant, at least in certain regions of the US. So the best way to match a narcissist's toxicity and demands is to demand just as much back in your own way, in your own needs. And if they poof, disappear, all they were really concerned about was their own needs in the first place. She wouldn't have lost a good man if she said, no, I don't want to have sex with you that soon. And then he just disappeared and she didn't get pregnant and nothing happened. That wouldn't be a good man she lost. That would be a user she lost. That would be an opportunistic narcissist she lost. A good person does not pressure somebody into something without investing in them first and meeting their needs first as well. A good person is very much out for themselves. And it's all about what we place our value on. Now, we live in a society today that I've noticed, and like I said, I get a lot of emails mostly from women. And so this is the reason why I feel like I have to address it. We live in a society today that has made it okay for women, particularly of the younger generation, so I would say 30s and below, so 30s, 20s, and teens, because the 30s generation, everybody who's in that age right now, were the ones that kind of first had that thrown on them, maybe early 40s too. They were probably the first ones that were experiencing that, the new age of things. But we live in a society where it's perfectly acceptable for men to expect physical things fairly soon into a relationship, but it's not okay for women to expect security first, to expect emotional investment first, to expect, yes, maybe resources invested first as well. So when you are that type of woman, you get called names, or you get, told that you are, strange and nobody's like you, and that just join everybody else because they all jumped off a bridge, so you should do it too. And unfortunately, more often than not, women bow into pressure because they feel like nobody will stay with them if they don't do what everybody else is doing. Now, that doesn't mean that every woman who does things right away is doing it because of pressure. She might like that and enjoy that, and she likes things soon. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't personally do that. I have friends who do. If they truly like it for themselves, that's great. But I don't think every woman who does that likes it, truly deep down, likes investing more of themselves, more of their body before they get a return. And yes, it is a very, 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 very narcissistic trait to expect your needs, whether they be sexual, monetary, attention, whatever. Well, maybe not attention, but too much attention, like praising somebody, like worshiping them. It is very narcissistic to expect that because everybody else is doing that, and to expect that without giving a return to the other person first. It is very narcissistic. So narcissism does run very rampant in this culture, and it is unfortunately a game of you either join them and take your chances at possibly being disappointed, upset, left alone, feeling used, feeling empty, or choosing to be alone until somebody respects your boundaries. Because a lot of it is all about respecting your boundaries and continuously saying, no, but I expect this. No, but I expect this. No, no, no. It is a 2-letter word, and it's very, very, very effective. Now, as I said, again, I've had several clients that I've gone over this stuff with. I've had several therapy clients as well, life coaching sessions, doing this, tarot readings, all involving around narcissistic individuals preying upon people, asking me questions. So I think it's important to talk about. And yeah, I've been through stuff like that too. Currently, have I? No. In the past several years, have I? No. Not because I'm perfect, but because I learned from experience, and I learned how to say no in many different ways. And also, the little trick I told you works very well. Somebody who's concerned about what they can get, send them a Cash App link, send them a PayPal link. Oh, do you have some money I could borrow? I'm not going to be able to pay it back, but I need blah, 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 because I just need it. And I'm not saying this doesn't count for like somebody, in a work situation where you're actually offering a service to. This isn't work I'm talking about. I'm talking about a narcissist who comes up to somebody and asks them for something, or asks them for their time, or asks them for, whatever they can suck off of them, right? Then you just throw it back at them. and then you watch them disappear. It's so effective. Unfortunately, being honest and saying, leave me alone, I'm not interested in speaking to you, does not really work as well as either ignoring, and then if you can't ignore, just asking them to give you something so absorbent it makes them disappear because they're self-centered, right? So another person who's acting self-centered doesn't work well with them. They need the people who are soft, who have bleeding hearts, who say, oh, let me help you. Let me give to you because I care. Guys, caring is good if somebody is homeless or somebody is going through a health problem or somebody has something detrimental happening or they're a good person to you and you're a good person to them. So it's an even exchange. But caring is not in your best interest. It's not smart and it's not even admirable when you're caring about somebody who's a nasty person. It's just not. It's just not. It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't do anything for you. All it does is make the person doing it look soft and stupid. And I'm not calling anybody on here that, so don't get offended and start saying, oh my God, Naomi, you call me stupid. I'm so depressed, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I am just talking in general. Does that mean people should laugh at the person and point at them? No, I'm talking about how it will make the individual feel after the fact. So, best ways to deal with the narcissist is keep your expectations high, say no, gray rock, which means, you know, somebody asks you questions about your life. If they're a narcissist and you say, the weather was nice today. Interesting, isn't it? Something so dry, they have nothing to talk about, right? That has nothing to do with what they're saying. That's gray rock. No contact, which is the best, which is never communicating again. And if you can't do that, act like a narcissist back works very, very well. Trust me, very well. And that's it, you know? That's how to deal with those little energy vampires. And it is a disease that runs rampant. It's almost like, did anybody ever see that show True Blood? You know how in True Blood they get a vampire disease called hepatitis V? V as in like vampire. It reminds me of this virus that almost spreads between vampiric individuals, and it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading. And there's not really an antidote for it. It's just like you need different ways to like block yourself off from it. So there's that. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Because, yeah, like I said, I got a couple more emails concerning this topic. And I was like, you know what? Let me just make a public video about this because it seems to be a popular, narcissism is a very popular catchphrase on the internet. It's very used, sometimes used incorrectly. And it's important for people to know what they need to do, you know? Oh, yes. Eric Northman. He was sexy. Yeah, he was my favorite one. Him and the werewolf. Joe Mangello. Alcide. I liked Eric Northman and Alcide the best. But anyways, I think everybody did. But anyways, Gemma commented Eric Northman from True Blood. He was the sexy vampire from True Blood. So let's go on to the daily reading. And I am uploading after I get off of here. I have to upload a client. So Suzanne, your video is going to be uploaded before I go out tonight. I'm just going to go out for a little bit tonight. And then I'm also uploading a special Elizabeth I spirit channeling that I did a couple hours ago. So yay, I finally did it. And it came out really good. So let's just do the daily messages and then we'll get off here. But that's all. I just wanted to give you guys a little, it wasn't a lecture. It was just to give you some ideas. Because when I have ideas or things that I'm articulating in my head from questions people ask in my email or something I'm thinking about, I have to do a video on it soon or I'll forget it. So what are the daily messages today for everybody who is watching or will watch this video? What are the daily messages for everybody who is watching or will watch this video? Okay, 1, 2, pick a message, 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. Sacred Earth Oracle I'm using. So if you chose message number 1, you need to shift your perspective about something, whether it's how you're viewing a job, how you're viewing a relationship, how you're viewing a friendship, how people are treating you, how you feel like you're being treated. Shift your perspective about something because there's something that you're missing in why people are treating you a certain way or what you are dealing with in your life or maybe why you don't like a job. Shift your perspective. Okay? Or something needs to change. Maybe you need to move locations. Maybe you need to shift physically. Maybe you need to change jobs. I get a lot of job changing cards for some reason. I don't plan on changing mine, so I don't think it's because of me. It must be maybe people who are attracted to my channel need to change jobs or do change jobs or need to change a focus in their life or focus some kind of change, shifting a perspective maybe about something. So 2 is influence. Be wary of what or who is influencing you. So if you need to cut certain people out of your life, do so. If you need to include different types of people in your life, do so. If you need to include a new spiritual practice, a new group, a new hobby, the things that influence you, they don't always influence you on a conscious level. Sometimes it is subconscious and you do not always realize till it's too late. Like, oh my God, what the hell happened in my mind? What happened to what's going on in my brain? What happened the past 3 months? I don't even know because I didn't figure out what the hell was influencing me. And pay attention to how you influence others, especially your kids, people around you who are younger. Preservation is number 3. This is what we were talking about with the narcissism stuff, right? In order to preserve yourself, to be the best that you can be at work, to be the best that you can be for the right person, whether you're in the relationship with them now or you'll meet them. In order to preserve yourself, see, the skeleton is holding the baby or is pregnant with the baby. This is the old soul energy, but preserving that young soul exuberance for life still, combining these two together. In order to preserve this, you cannot be giving yourself to this person and 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 this person like, oh my God, like if you just keep doing things for these narcissistic energetic vampires, then you're going to have nothing left. You'll just be the skeleton with nothing. There'll just be nothing left. Preserve boundaries, saying no. Yes, sometimes being a little bit naughty and going to their level and saying, oh, really? Oh, really? You want to do that? I have a car payment to pay for. It's like $3,000. Could you give me $3,000? Oh, no? Oh, you're leaving now? Okay, bye. Preserving yourself. You don't always do it in the nicest ways, but hey, if it works, it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's not really hurting anybody, isn't it hurting anybody to ask for an exorbitant sum of money who's trying to use you? No, that's not hurting them. That'll just make them go away. Because see, what I'm saying is what I was saying earlier. You don't use that on somebody who's an empath who's going to give you that. An empath will give it to you right away. I'm not telling you to take advantage of nice people. I'm telling you to say that to a narcissist, a known narcissist that you know is a narcissist because you know they're going to say no. They're not going to say yes. The whole point of it is not to get something out of them. It's to prove a point and make them go away. All right? Preserve yourself. Put yourself first. Say no. Message number 3. All right, so that's it. So I'm going to upload the Elizabeth I probably tonight or tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll do it tonight, but I've got to upload Suzanne's reading before I go. So I'll probably do that first. And that's it. So I'm just going to look through the comments real quick, and then I'm going to sign off. Hi, Nora. Hi, Illy. Rosemarie, Gigi, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you guys. I see you here a lot. Angel, Gigi, Gemma, Shirley, Verna. Yeah, I just finished Verna, but you can watch it. I didn't really like have discussions with people while I was doing it because I like, not because I don't like you guys. I appreciate you a lot. Eccentricity, hi. Because it cuts off the flow of how I'm trying to say things if I keep interrupting while I'm doing things. So that's why I always look at the end now at the comments. But I just did a little talk about narcissism and ways to get rid of them and why you should get rid of them and why you should keep boundaries, because I've seen a pattern of messages in my email about narcissists. So I just wanted to address it publicly. And I gave an example of an old friend I had from school a while ago and a narcissist she dealt with. So, yeah, that was it. So essentially the moral of the story was, for that example, if she had required a lot beforehand, and like I said, I don't look down on whatever the hell anybody wants to require. I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, if she required a lot beforehand, that narcissistic individual, instead of getting her pregnant without getting married to her, would have, and her child is a blessing. She loves her child. I'm not saying that her child shouldn't have happened or something like that. That's her business. That's her child. It's a blessing. She is a blessing. But if she had made more expectations and high expectations for that person and made them jump through a little more hoops to get to them, to get to the prize at the end, because that's what men prize, unfortunately, he either would have left, which was more than likely, because being a narcissist, they wouldn't stick around long if they've got to have to invest time and or money or both. Or two, he would have invested the time and maybe built up more respect. I don't think that the second one would happen. I think it would have been the first one, leaving, and nothing would have ended up happening. So that's like kind of like, if you can say no and build up your boundaries and require and request more of narcissists, that's an example in a person's love life. But there's examples in people's work life too. There's examples in people's family too. You know, for instance, if a family member is always taking somebody for granted and expecting they do this, they do this, they do this, they do this. If the person takes a break from always helping the family member and allows it to fall on the other siblings or the other family members, that person will come to appreciate them more. If they put up their boundaries and say no. A lot of it's saying no and requiring more. I would say in a family member situation, it's more so saying no or doing gray rock. If you're talking about a dating situation, it's requiring more, especially if you're talking about heterosexual relationships with a woman and a man, it's requiring more. Gigi, I'm sorry that he does that. That's sad. So then you could just be less available to answer the phone. But I know it's hard because it's your son. But I don't know if you have something with him that you'd know if he was okay or not, like if he was hurt or something. Because you wouldn't want to ignore it if something like that happened. That's hard when it's your child. All right. Well, you know, I hope that you guys all have a good evening. I'm going to go now. I got to upload Suzanne's video, and then I think I have to upload Anna's video too, and then get off of here. And like I said, the readings are for entertainment only, for my talks or whatever they are. This shouldn't replace healthcare. It shouldn't replace mental health care or physical health care. And if you would like your own reading, go to naomitarot.com. It's all listed there. I'm still offering the $90 5 questions plus a full astrology chart, or 7 questions. Normally they're both 100. I'm still offering that until June 22nd, but my prices start at 25. You can check it all out at the website. I should just say go to the website because it's easier. It's all written there. Thank you, Eccentricity. I will be careful. I appreciate that. Um, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, take care. And I hope you guys have a good weekend and say no to the narcissists or make the requirements so high they can't get to you. All right. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.